You got to remember that the world reacts to who you are, not what you have. And if you go through life, right, expecting or having these standards, such as like, if I have this, I'll be this. If I have this car, I'll be this guy. If I have this girl, I'll be this guy, blah, blah. If you go through life like that, you'll always approach it with some type of arrogance because you'll think that you're better than people or that some people are better than you because they have this or that. And that's such a skewed way to go about life because it doesn't really make sense, does it? Do you really believe that somebody that has a car or an amount of money more than you is better than you in a way, right? Doesn't it make more sense to say that the world reacts to who you are as a person? How do you treat your own self, your own interests, your own passions, your own positions as you see them in the world? Doesn't that make more sense? Because we do that. We do that. You'll see, like, as you go through life, that do that for people do that for girls, for example. Like dudes, guys won't approach girls just because they fear. They fear a certain inadequacy. They fear that they're not good enough to go approach a girl. Though, like the that whole trend of fumbling a 10 or whatever. And I feel like that's so sad. Like, isn't that sad? Like you're rejecting yourself over a standard that doesn't even make sense. What does that mean? What does that mean? That you feel like you're not good enough for this person because you don't have that? Does that mean that if you lose, for example, the money that you wanted to feel like you were worthy of this relationship, that if you lose that money or that car or that house or that whatever, does that mean what you're willing to lose the girl too? Is that how you feel a self-worth? That's what you're worth, pretty much? That stuff? I feel like that's such a distortion of reality, but we accept it. That's what's even more messed up as men, or even as just people in general. We accept that, yeah, we can put a value on us that is quantifiable. You can just say that, oh yeah, because I have this, that, or the other, I am not worthy of approaching this girl. When you can lose those things, like when all that stuff will leave eventually, and then an even more messed up part is that you'll go and then look at other people and believe that they are more, that you're saying that they are more adequate than you. Isn't that messed up? What does that mean? Does that mean that if you have, for example, a wife and a kid and somebody has more than you, that they're more adequate than you to take care of them? That's such, it's just I don't understand that. But as a culture, we have normalized this. We've been saying that that's somehow okay, right? And I just think that if you just spent some time and thought about that concept, that really it's a toxic way to go about it, and it's this distorted way to go about it, because you really just end up wasting time and hurting yourself unjustifiably. But if you say that the world reacts to who you are, then it makes more sense. Then you're free from standards that are external, whereas the other ones are standards of external validation. Really, you only feel like by having those things it will make you more adequate, because from the exterior perspective it would mean that you don't really, it doesn't really feel like that inside. It just looks like it from the outside. um I'm saying all this to say that you don't waste time. Don't waste time thinking like that. And a better solution is to look at who you are in relationships to other people and realize that in that there is meaning, right? To be, like I've said in other videos, to be a son to someone, to be a brother, to be a, even an uncle, all those things that bond you with other people, like the legitimate ones, being a husband, a father, etc. That is something which won't leave you. if you're going to judge yourself on things, at least make it something that is going to stay. No. And allow yourself space. That allows you space to breathe. Those are things that you don't have to change to fit within. You already are. You just have to surrender to them. Whereas the other ones create all this fear of missing out, fear of like trying to hold control over things so bad that like you want the exact thing you have in mind, the exact car, the exact nine. You don't allow space for life to breathe, and really it's a lust for control, and that's just an illusion. It's just ego. Everything that's ego related is just image, and image would always be built on scarcity because it's static. It doesn't move. It's just like picture, and by attaching yourself to that, you're pretty much just signing up for a life of living in fear. And if you can't let go of the image, then you know you have an ego problem, and it's okay to accept that. I have a problem with ego. Boom. How can I weaken ego and allow it to die? I don't need to go and do DMT and all of these drugs that everybody says creates ego death. There's a way simpler way to go about this, and a sustainable one. Just stop doing things that, for example, give you this false sense of control, right? To your desires, like watching porn, like drinking, like smoking, taking drugs. Stop. When you find yourself trying to hold on to control instead of letting go, catch yourself doing that. When you're about to give into lust, which is content or those videos, or in whatever sense, just ask yourself, what am I really looking for here? And then you say, oh, okay, I'm looking for connection. I wish I had connection with someone. And then that awareness itself is a good start. But ego will always stay if you feed it more. It's going to get stronger and stronger. Your fear is going to get bigger and bigger. And it's unsustainable until you sort of crash. But, you can push it further, right? There's actions you can take. You can go work out when you don't feel like it, overcome some limit, and realize if I overcame this limit, that means the illusion of the limit was fake. It was just an image. You could diet by not feeding yourself things that are like comfort foods and give you that feeling that consuming fat does. Then you're one step closer to weakening that, because you don't do things because they feel good to your instantly. They feel good on the long run, like eating fruits and blah blah blah, right? You make choices you don't necessarily like, but that are good for you. You don't pick the ice cream, but you'll pick the fruits because it doesn't feel like it doesn't. It's not. You don't like the change, but you know it's good. And if you start doing what you know is good, rather than what um, will feel good, it's solely different. The things that feel good for us, unfortunately, often we consider them to be things that, it's like the slide when you're a kid, right? The slide feels good, but it brings you to the bottom, right? I was talking to, I remember this guy said this. We were like sitting by a park and we were watching the park. We are like, isn't that funny? Like how much more effort it takes to climb up than to slide down, right? But sliding down is so fun. Climbing, typically, we don't consider it to be fun, but that's a good image for life. It's going to take a lot to climb up away from whatever it is that you experience, but it's going to be so easy to fall. like, and it's going to take a while to climb back up. But if you fall forward, if you start step by step thinking, you don't have to slide all the way down. You can just, stop halfway. That's already better than going all the way down. And that's also the best way to start climbing back up rather than falling all the way down. So don't beat yourself up about it. Those are all ways that you can weaken ego. And so ego doesn't exist. And then you don't have to go and do drugs. That's a sustainable way. You know the patterns now. You can journal and catch yourself. Like, I notice that when I'm bored, I tend to want to go open a website. I feel that when I'm anxious, I tend to go and smoke. When you catch those patterns, you realize, oh, damn, right there, that was ego. That was me trying to give myself the illusion that I have control over these desires, but it's always unsustainable. I hope that that helps. I don't want to overwhelm with information or whatever, but these are all ways that have worked for me. And so I'd suggest to try them out. You only live once, and you don't really know. There's a level of excellence that you can be, but excellence as to who you are, not what you have. Excellence isn't just the stuff, right? The richest people that you know of, you could take all the stuff away from them, but they'd be able to create it back because of who they are, you know. And if and they're excellent at who they are, and if you can be excellent at who you are, the world will treat you as such. And try it out. Try it out. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.